Yo, what's going on? It's your boy, Mr. Locario, the bad boy of the dating game. What's good? So, I get a lot of emails from guys, right? They always hit me up and they're like, yo, Mr. Locario, how do I talk to these girls? I don't know what to say. I run out of stuff to say. I don't want to say the wrong thing and all this other stuff, right? And so, usually what I tell guys is that, it's best when you're interacting with a woman to, keep it short and sweet, to get to the point, be direct, let her know you're trying to make something happen, get her number or give her your number or exchange numbers and keep that shit pushing, right? But you got a lot of guys who hit me up and they're like, yo, I go direct, but it's, it doesn't seem like it's working. And, I feel like I need to, build attraction and have some rapport with her and all this other stuff. Right. And so the thing is, there's nothing wrong with if you want to actually sit there and, have a conversation with a girl and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, a lot of times you waste a lot of time interacting with a woman who, and it turns out to be nothing, when you could have just went and, hollered at her and got her number real quick and kept it moving. And either she's going to be responsive to that or she's not. You understand? The same way where if you sit there and, talk to her all day, she's going to be responsive to that or not, either way. Right. But what I wanted to talk about in this video is, I wanted to tell you guys that, if you do feel like you need to have conversations with girls or you want to talk to them a little bit more, right? The best course of action for you to do, right, is to get her talking more and or I should say, get her to reveal stuff about herself. You understand? So the girl should be doing most of the talking. Okay? And basically when I mean most of the talking is not necessarily literally, when you're having that conversation, she should be talking the most as far as like her actually literally talking. But what I mean is that she should be basically revealing a lot of things to you. And what you should be doing in the conversation is sort of, basically getting her to reveal certain things, right? So a lot of times when you guys talk about, I don't know what to say to a girl when I approach her, I don't know what to talk about and all this and all that, right? The thing is that, if you ask her questions, right, that's going to make it easy for you to really have things to say, because the things you're saying are the questions, and the questions are the things that's going to make her talk and reveal shit about herself, right? Now, what's the point of having her even reveal shit about herself, right? Now, the thing is this. A lot of times, what's going to make it easier for you, first of all, to have things to say and actually questions to ask her is first you have to figure out what you want when it comes to women and dating. What you're actually trying to get from a chick, or what you're trying to do when you're engaging with a chick. So what I mean is that are you like trying to get a girlfriend? Are you just trying to smash? You just trying to go on some dates? Like what's your agenda generally? You understand what I'm saying? And so based off your agenda, that's the questions you should be asking the chick. And then by asking her those questions, and the reason why I'm saying, why should she reveal stuff, stuff about herself, is because the stuff she's going to reveal is going to let you know if this is the type of chick you want to fuck with. You understand? See, this is like, game beyond you just really just trying to smash anything. You understand what I'm saying? Because, when you first, are out here and you're trying to make something happen, and let's say you're a virgin or you just only had sex with one girl and you're really trying to make shit happen, you're just like, listen, I don't give a fuck. I'm just trying to have sex with whoever is going to open their legs. You feel what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, what, is going to make your situations more beneficial for you. And also, a lot of times when you evaluate these chicks, because that's really what you're doing. When you do this, it makes you more attractive to her, because what it does is it makes it seem as if she's sort of trying to impress you with what she's saying to you. You understand? Like, you're sort of like hitting her with these questions, and you're judging her to an extent off of what she's saying to see if she's good enough to deal with you, right? So a lot of times when you guys say, oh, I don't know what to say, I don't know, what to ask her, the things you can ask her and say are the things that come from what you want in a chick, and those are the questions you ask. So, for example, my dude Eddie Fuse, make sure you guys check out Eddie Fuse on YouTube. He gives out dating advice and everything. So he had a video. He was talking about talking to girls and interacting with girls, and he was basically saying that his thing is he likes to know if a chick had her had her father around in her life. You understand? Because to him it's important to know if a chick had her pops around. You understand? I think that's basically what he was saying. He could correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember him saying that he wants to know this. So he'll ask a woman questions about that, and then depending on what she says, that's going to give him the information he needs to either keep it going or be like, nah, I'm good, or whatever. But at the same time, the chick is sort of, giving that information, and he's getting that information. So he's basically having the girl do most of the talking. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, personally, I do this all the time where, when I'm talking to a chick, a lot of times I'll ask her questions, and some of the questions is like, some of them could be simple questions, some of them could be a little bit more complex questions, but the questions that I'm asking her are, things that's going to reveal to me the type of chick she is, and then I sort of see if this is the type of chick I want to, keep fucking with, right? So, for example, like when I'm talking to a girl, one of the questions I ask women is, I say, where do you live? Right? Simple shit. Where do you live? Right? But the reason why I ask them that, because I live in New York City, right? So I go I'm usually in Manhattan, sometimes Brooklyn or whatever. So sometimes, I meet a chick and I'm at a bar or something, and I say to a chick, I'm like, so yeah, where do you live? And then the chick tells me, she lives in some fucking town in Jersey or some shit. You understand? And so for me, I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work for me. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking. So I'm like, shit, okay, she lives in Jersey. I'm about to charge this before shit even pops off. You understand? Now I could still, holler at her and, make something happen and try to figure out a way and, maybe take her to a hotel or whatever and yada, yada, yada. I could do that if I wanted to. You understand? But for me personally, I'm like, I don't feel like dealing with her. But the thing is me asking these questions, I'm getting information and she's revealing things to me. So I'm getting her to, do most of that talking, that revealing of, her situation and what's going on with her, right? Another question I'll ask a chick, I'll say, what do you do for a living, right? And so the reason why I'm asking this is because, I want to make sure that a chick has her own money. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's plenty of times where I dated chicks who, they were like just in school or something. They wasn't really working, or they were unemployed at the time. So then it was like, I'd be hanging out with them and doing shit. And it was like, they ain't have no fucking money. So I got to put all my money up. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm asking her this stuff to see what's popping. Also, I usually don't like to fuck with chicks who aren't doing shit, because I remember one time I was talking to some girl, and, I was asking her what she do, and all this other stuff. And she's like, I just be chilling at the crib. I don't really do nothing, yada, yada, yada. So to me, I'm like, okay, this chick ain't got shit to lose. You understand? So if she's fucking with me and she's on some other shit, I'm probably going to end up being the thing that is in her life. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to be that motherfucker. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I need to fuck with a chick who got shit to lose. So when I'm fucking with you, you ain't gonna be on some bullshit because you actually got shit to lose. Which is why I'm asking you, what do you do for a living? What do you do? Period. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm asking those questions to see what she's about. And the thing is that when you ask these questions, right, what happens is that it it turns the situation around from you, because this is usually what happens with a lot of guys and why they have a hard time attracting women. See, guys, they're either trying to impress the girl or trying to come off as this really cool guy so that the chick will like him or something. Or they're saying, a lot of guys talk about like building attraction and building rapport and everything. But a lot of it comes off as phony. They're not really invested in what they're talking about. They're not really saying the things they want to say. They're just sort of saying things and they're just like sort of just talking shit just to get from point A to point B. They're like, okay, I'm going to say this, then I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to try to, come at her with this line, and hopefully she'll be feeling it, and then what I'm saying? Is that nothing authentic? So the thing is that, if you are going to be these dudes who are going to be taking some time to actually have conversations with these girls you just met, you need to ask her these questions, and these questions should be based off the shit you like, and it should be her doing most of the talking, most of the revealing of herself. You understand what I'm saying? And you should basically compare what she's revealing to what you want, and if it's lining up, then you like, all right, I'll fuck with this chick and I'll make it happen. And and trust me, it's a different vibe that comes along with it when you're doing it that way versus you basically trying to kiss ass and trying to get her to like you. You understand? So now it goes from you being some simp type dude trying to get her to like you and hoping that she's gonna like the conversation you're having, to you sitting there basically evaluating her to see if she's good enough for you. You understand what I'm saying? And then it takes away a lot of the nervousness when you are used to doing it this way, because now it goes from you, because a lot of the nervousness comes from you wanting the outcome of her giving you the number and getting with you, but you're just wanting it based off of nothing. Like, you just want it because she has vagina. You're like, I want to fuck your vagina, and that's why I want your number, and I hope you give me the number, right? So it goes from that to you saying, okay, yeah, you got vagina, but you gotta fill out this form. You know what I'm saying? So that I can look it over and see if I want to hire your ass to make this shit pop. You understand? And so, you figure out which one you ask these questions. So even for myself, again, like, for example, also what you do is sometimes you'll have these conversations with these girls, and you also want to see not only how she reveals herself with the stuff she's saying, but also how she reveals herself with basically like her body language or her reactions to what you're asking her. You understand? So sometimes, let's say, for example, you talking to a girl, let's say you're into the, you're flirting with the chick, right? Because a lot of the questions I was asking earlier of like, where do you live and what do you do for a living? That's, it's pretty much small talk. Now, let's say you're getting into flirting with a chick, you understand? And this is why I always tell guys, when you're having a conversation, you can do small talk, but you got to move into some more flirting, you understand, to really, kick it up, right? And so if you're flirting with a chick, let's say if you said something like, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being really freaky and 1 being kind of boring, how freaky are you? You understand? So you're asking her that, and it's a fun question, and she'll probably say, oh, I'm like a 7 or 8, and then it's like, oh, so why are you not a 10? Whatever. And so to you might want a chick who's like super freaky. You understand what I'm saying? And so you're asking her that because you want to see how she's going to react to that, because some chicks, they'll be like, oh, why would you ask me a question like that? That's so disrespectful. Yeah. So now you see, okay, she's on that bullshit. She's whack. I ain't really fucking with her. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's important to you to have a chick who's freaky. And if her reaction is that, basically she's uncomfortable dealing with that type of conversation in those situations. You understand what I'm saying? So her reaction, with her, how she's going like that, or sometimes the chick won't even necessarily say something, but you can see it on her face that she's uncomfortable, or you can see it on her face that she's into it. You understand? And so that will give you the indicator of, how you should continue to go and do it. So like, me, for example, when I start flirting with a chick, because, most of you know that I'm in an open relationship, right? So, what I do is, while I'm talking to chicks, I bring this up because I want to see the reaction to, this situation, because that's something important to me. When I'm dealing with a chick, she has to be able to fuck with me on that level. You understand? So a question that I usually ask a chick, I'll ask her, I'll say, how open-minded are you? Right? I'll just come out and ask her that, right? And, sometimes a chick will be like, what do you mean? Or I don't know. And then what do you mean by that? Whatever, right? Or what I would say also, or another question I would do is sort of like the same version of this question. I would ask, would you call yourself open-minded? Right? Which is an even better question, because a lot of women, let's say, like, I notice when I ask it that way, 9 times out of 10, women say yeah. You understand? Because they don't want to say no, because by saying no, it's like saying she's closed-minded. You understand what I'm saying? So it's almost like they make it easy for me to sort of ease into what I'm trying to do. You understand what I'm saying? But the thing is that it's still at that point, I'm still not getting the information I need, because I still need more of a reaction. So I'm just sort of like prepping her for what's next to come. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm like, how open-minded are you? Or, would you call yourself open-minded? And then, sometimes they'll say yeah, or it'll be like, what do you mean by that? Or what do you mean by open-minded? Blah, 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 right? So usually, I'll proceed and I'll say something like, I'm really attracted to open-minded women because, I'm in an open relationship. So when I see a woman I'm attracted to, I want to make sure she's mature enough to handle this situation before I give her a chance. You understand? So like, I'm saying this to her in conjunction with that question to see her reaction. You understand what I'm saying? And so the thing is that if her reaction is positive, then I move it forward with her, right? And even when I'm saying this type of shit, I'm not even necessarily letting her know that I'm trying to get with her. I'm just sort of stating something. You understand? So it's still sort of up in the air. That's why I'm like, if I see a chick who's mature enough, I'll give her a chance. You understand? I'm not even saying, hey, I want to fuck with you. I'm saying, look, are you open-minded? What is it? And, if you're mature enough, I might give you a chance. I'm not even like saying I am, right? But the thing is that the reason why I'm bringing all of this shit up, and the reason why I'm stating it like this, and the reason why I'm asking these questions, is because I want her to reveal things to me. You understand what I'm saying? And this is what I mean when I say, the girl should be doing most of the talking. When I say talking, I'm not saying literally she has to be the one talking a lot, because a girl could be talking and saying a whole bunch of nothing. You understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is that you have to create the situation where you're questioning her, you're evaluating her to the point where she's revealing shit to you. You understand what I'm saying? So it works in two ways, meaning, the first way it works is that, it separates you from other guys who are sort of pandering and trying to get a chick to like them by trying to, get the girl to feel them by them saying a whole bunch of shit about themselves and yada, 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 right? That's one way, it works. The second way it works is that it gets the girl to basically try to impress you with what she's saying. You understand what I'm saying? It gets the girl in the zone of, answering your questions and you basically evaluating who she is and what she's about and seeing if you're going to choose to deal with her based off of what you're saying. You understand what I'm saying? And so, a lot of times the reason why guys can't get it, to be that type of situation, again, like I was saying earlier, is that they're thinking too much about what they have to do to get the girl to like them. You understand what I'm saying? And you have to flip that. And instead of having that mindset, you have to basically say, okay, I need to check this chick out to see if I like her. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what you're basically doing. You understand? So a lot of times when you guys say, I don't know what to say, the reason why you don't know what to say is because you don't know what you want. You understand what I'm saying? And then if you know what you want, what you need to say and what you need to ask, what you need to, interact with in that situation, it will be there. You will know what to say and, and the things you need to say in order to get to see if she's going to give you the reaction that you are into and that you want. You understand? And the more, well versed you get in the game, you're going to want to do this more because, back in the day when I would just sort of, like any chick that was there, I was like, okay, you're here, you're a chick, I want to have sex with you and let's just try to do this shit. And then what happened was, there were certain girls where I would deal with them. It was a big waste of time. It was, shit wasn't really going the way it needed to go. I was running into, chicks who was on some drama queen shit. And that was all because I didn't take the time to evaluate them before I, fucked with them. You understand? So I wasted a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of frustration. You understand what I'm saying? Dealing with these chicks because, I wasn't getting her to do most of the talking. You understand what I'm saying? I was doing most of the talking, meaning I was revealing everything. I was trying to be this super cool guy, impress her, hope she likes me, hope she gives me the number. Nah, fuck all that. You understand what I'm saying? So, when you're dealing with these chicks and you're in those situations where you're actually having these conversations with these girls and you want to do the whole back and forth thing, just remember to make sure that you get her to reveal certain things and make sure that, she is doing most of the talking. Click the link below or go to MrLocario.com to get tickets for the Bad Boy Seminar, which is on March 25th, 2017. Space is limited, so get your tickets today. Now, before you turn off this video, I want you to do 3 quick things. 1, I want you to click the link below to send me a question. If you have a question on dating and relationships, I'll make a video about it. 2, I want you to click the link under that to get my free audio program, Undeniable Game, which teaches you 7 easy to follow tips on how to really attract beautiful women. And 3, I want you to click the link under that one to go to Bad Boy Membership, where you get 45 through 90-minute audio and video dating advice tutorials every month. Hey, what's up? It's dating and life coach Mr. Locario. Go to badboymembership.com and master the dating game by joining my Bad Boy Membership program. In this program, you'll receive 45 through 90-minute, easy to follow, step-by-step dating advice tutorials that's guaranteed to help you attract, date, and have sex with beautiful women. Join the Bad Boy Membership today by going to badboymembership.com. That's badboymembership.com.